ever. There is no close second. But he's also been weighing his future. And he was asked yesterday about his future in Portland, and he said he's not going anywhere right now, at least. And I think Blazer fans probably reflexively breathed a heavy sigh of relief. Oh, he's not going to demand a trade before the year. We're going to get at least another season of Damian Lillard, who's the greatest player in modern franchise history. And depending on what you think of Bill Walton, you could argue the greatest player in franchise history because Walton's time there was so brief with respect to LaMarcus Aldridge, Brandon Roy, and some others. And I get why Portland feels that way. They're kind of, isolated from the rest of the NBA, particularly now that Seattle doesn't have a team. There's no baseball team. There's no NFL team. They're a one-sport city for the most part with respect to the Portland Timbers, but of the major American pro sports leagues. And Damian Lillard's a superstar, and Damian Lillard guarantees relevance, and Damian Lillard guarantees a playoff berth. And you don't want to lose Damian Lillard, but you'd be better off if he demanded a trade. If your goal is to one day duplicate what Bill Walton did, what's it now, 45 years ago, and bring a title to Portland, the best thing that could happen to Portland is if Dame would have said last night, yeah, I've talked with ownership and they're working on a trade. And I'm not, Dame should do what he wants, and I don't want us ever to get to a place in sports where we're like, you know what, a player is being selfish or silly or for not demanding out of a spot. I respect the fact that Dame says, I want to try to build it here, but he can't. He's a great player, but there are maybe 3 guys in NBA history that in today's NBA, with this level of talent, this many great teams, could take the roster the Blazers have, remove Dame, put themselves in his position, and win them a championship. I think LeBron could do it. I think prime Shaq could probably do it, and Kareem could do it. Aside from that, I think that's your list. And so it's not an insult to say you can't win a title as currently constituted if you're the Blazers, which is why the best thing for the Blazers long term is if Dame asks out and you call up Philadelphia and they give you Ben Simmons and Tybal and maybe you twist their arm to throw in Maxey as well, and you build around that young core, financial flexibility, and you reboot it. That also obviously is the best thing for Philly, because while Blazers fans were relieved last night, I'm sure, at least temporarily, even if they shouldn't have been, Sixers fans have to be devastated by this news, because the Sixers are in a really tough spot where they have a top 25 player. I know he didn't look like it in the fourth quarter of the second round last year, but he's a top 25 player. He should have been Defensive Player of the Year in Ben Simmons. But 2 things are definitely true. One is he is not a perfect or even a great or even a good fit with Embiid, he being Ben Simmons. And the other is it is going to be very difficult. Was that a kangaroo on the screen? It is going to be very difficult for you to bring Ben Simmons back for the entirety of this season and not have the fans of Philadelphia at a moment's notice ready to turn. They have been very kind with Ben Simmons. They've been very patient with Ben. And Ben, by the way, again, and we're all clouded by how that playoff series ended, has been an excellent player in his entirety in Philly, and is a great defensive player, and in transition, an excellent offensive player. but it's going to be very difficult to run that thing back. With that said, you cannot trade him for 60 cents on the dollar. You just can't. And Dame, at some point, you think is going to come available. And if he does, you're the team that has the young All-NBA player and the flexibility and the picks to make that trade happen. Because if Dame does ask for a trade and Philly's not in it, let's say Philly has already traded Ben Simmons, so they can't make the trade happen, then what is Portland going to get? Brandon Ingram and 1 million picks? A Dame Bradley Beal swap doesn't make sense. They're in the same spot. They're almost assuredly not going to trade him to Golden State. OKC doesn't even want to compete yet. So Philly knows they're going to be able to present the best package as long as they hold on to Ben. But I don't think they can hold on to Ben for a full year and wait this season out. So Blazers fans were probably excited that Dame said he's still planning to stay a Sixer. I don't know that they should have been. Sixer fans were almost assuredly incredibly disappointed that Dame said that. They absolutely should have been, because Embiid plus Dame, that you're right there. You're right there as an unquestioned top 5 team. It's you, it's Brooklyn, it's Milwaukee in the East, and it's the Lakers out west as your clear-cut 4 best teams in basketball. And I think Philly really thought that they were one Damian Lillard tweet away or private meeting with ownership away, but it does not look like that meeting or tweet is coming anytime soon. We'll talk with Antoine Walker about that in about 10, 15 minutes. But something very interesting is happening as far as NFL buzz going into this season, and it involves the Rams and Matt Stafford. So there was a